Good day, folks. Let's tie a hot-headed leech. This is a deadly little leech pattern. And let's redo that. All right. Good day, folks. Let's tie a hot-headed leech. I have a size 10 Daiichi 1760 in the vise. You can tie this in a 6 or an 8 as well. So I'm just going to dress that hook and trim out my tag. And then I'm going to grab a decent clump of marabou. Pull probably about 2 or 3 inches off the stem, left with a clump about like so. And then I'm just going to kind of measure decently long tail here, and then I'll trim the tips, come in here and just grab a hold of those and just wrap back. Go to about where that barb is, and then I'll throw a couple wraps underneath to prop things up. Next, I've got 2 strands of holographic red flashabou, and I'm just going to get a hold of those on either side. About like so. Grab these ones. Once you get them tied in, you can kind of yank on them and you'll get them to separate. So you got good amounts of flash in that tail. And then I'll just come back to the very back here and I'll trim them about the same length as kind of the longest pieces of marabou there. It's okay if the flash is a little bit longer than the tail. So now I'm going to grab my dubbing brush here, or dubbing twister, and just form a loop and get that loop nice and closed off. And then I'll bring this up to about, I'm going to leave about a hook eye or so worth of space, and I'm just going to kind of clean that up real quick, build myself a little bit of a ramp right there. But about 1 or 2, if you picture a bead there, you want to be about that far back. So now I've got some black and red semi-seal, and I'm just going to fill this loop with a decent amount of dubbing. One more small little clump in the bottom here. That should do us well. Okay. Go ahead and spin that. Looks pretty good. And then, as I do with all my dubbing loops, I like to wrap it before, or I like to brush it before and after. So just be easy. Remember, it is just thread under there, so be careful when you're brushing, but you probably see how much that thing changed by brushing it out. Makes a big difference. Keeps the fly nice and flowy in the water. Okay, so now I'm going to just wrap this brush, or this dubbing, just like a hackle. sweeping things back as I go. Get one more turn in there. Looks about right. And I'll tie that off with a few good wraps. Trim out the excess and then just sweep this back and wrap back on it just a little bit. And then you can see I managed to just smooth that out. And now we are ready for the final step. So let's turn it into a hothead. Grab my dubbing loop, dubbing twister again. Come in here with just a fairly small loop. We're not going to need much. And then my thread can just hang right there for now. It can get a little busy up front here, so just leave yourself a little extra space to work if you have to. So not much semi-seal this time around. It's just enough for, I'm only going to want just a few wraps, maybe 2 wraps, 3 at the most. And this one I'm really going to take my time to brush out and get this thing super thin. The thinner this rope is, the easier it is to wrap. And then the longer these fibers are, the more they'll create kind of the veil effect that we're going for with the hothead. So I'll show you in just a second here. So just wrap right close to the black and red at first. Do my best just to kind of get a couple wraps in there, and then just pull those fibers down so I don't trap too many. Okay, that looks good. And I broke it. All right. Well, the good thing is, it doesn't take much to start over. That's the nice thing. So, happens to the best of them. So, let's do that again, shall we? Now, most people would probably cut the video, edit, do all those things. Forgive me, I'm not much of an editor, so you're just gonna have to put up with my crappy tying. All right, let's do this again, shall we? So ideally, so my issue there was my loop was just a little too big. When I'm tying off right near the hook eye, I like to tie off on bare thread, and on that one I had a little bit of semi-seal that I was dealing with, so that can make it tough. This time I've just made that loop a little bit shorter, and you'll see when I go to tie it off. I think this is still, yeah, this is just big enough. Again, you're only looking for a couple wraps. Okay, so there's one, there's 2, and I really didn't leave myself enough room here, I guess. There we go. That looks better. Okay, now that we got that handled, we'll just tie that off. Try not to cut my thread this time. And now I can grab everything all at once, sweep it back, and then wrap back on it so it's nice and durable. Little bright red thread head there. Bingo. Okay, and then we go to town with the brush and really brush this out. If you want to see this thing wet, if you go through the Instagram feed, you'll find a post with a wet version of it, and it looks super awesome. So that's the Hot Headed Leech. Sorry I messed that one up, but hey, we're all human and it happens. So there you go. Neat little pattern. Love to fish it on the strip. Fast sinker in deep water, slow sinker in shallow water, strip, and they'll make it go boom. Hang on tight. So there it is. Thanks very much for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't. And until the next one, cheers and tight lines.